Hustle culture has been selling small business owners the same idea for over a decade. Do more, grow faster, stay busier. But is that mindset leading to burnout rather than the sustainable, fulfilling business we actually set out to create? On this episode of School Proprietor podcast, Mandy and I are having an honest conversation about redefining success as a music studio owner and how to build a business that supports your life rather than consume it. We're talking about the pressure social media puts on us, why equating busyness with achievement is a trap, and how to measure progress to include your personal well-being and your financial health. This one is as much about perspective as it is business strategy. Stay tuned. If you're a guitar instructor and you've used one of the dozen or so popular method books, you've probably noticed that gap between what's in the books and what students actually want to learn. Most guitar students want to play their favorite songs, and that means strumming, chord changes, timing. If that stuff is even in those method books, it's usually way in the back. I put together the exercises in Complete Guitar Strumming to cover the foundational concepts that all guitar students need, but in a practical way that applies to their goals, which is playing their favorite songs. For instructors, the book comes with an instructor companion guide that walks you through best practices for teaching. I even have training videos that I've used with my own staff that you can access as well. The guide and the videos are free for anyone who wants to use the book for teaching. If you want to get really deep and understand the origins of the book, you can go listen to episode 50 of this podcast or just head over to rockschoolproprietor.com/book for all the details. Welcome to Rock School Proprietor Podcast. My name's John Kazicki.
And I'm Mandy York.
And Mandy, you pitched me this idea last week about talking about hustle culture and what that looks like for people like us who are music instructors and studio owners. Kind of a hot topic lately.
Yeah. Yep. Kind of a buzzword that you read about, you see, hear about all the time. And it's just come up in a lot of conversations that I've had lately. So I wanted to kind of explore it with you. And
it used to, I don't know, I'm trying to put a timeline on this. Maybe, I don't know, let's say 10 years ago, hustle culture was sort of viewed as a positive, I think.
Right.
Now, not so much.
Right. And I think that's what's interesting to talk about here and how the ideas about this are shifting.
Yeah. So I got to know, like, what brought this about?
Really, a couple things, I think. Conversations that I've had with friends and other business owners, actually. Not in the same field, not music business owners, but other small business owners. And kind of like having to examine this myself and work through this internally, because I feel a lot of pressure from the things that I see, the things that I read. Like, am I enough? Am I doing enough? Am I hustling hard enough? So kind of through these conversations with friends and, analyzing this on my own, coming to some, ideas on how to work through it.
Yeah. I hate to bring this back around to social media because I feel like so many of our topics as of late come back to social media. However, it doesn't help that there's it's like this weird treadmill that businesses sort of need to be on social media to have awareness and find the clients and, their clients find them or us. But part of that existence on social media requires more content. Keep putting more things out there. Keep doing more. And it's not like we're getting paid to do more, right? It's just the bar keeps inching higher and higher and higher. And the only, what is our recourse? Disengage from it?
Right. Yes. It feels like a trap. It's a
Yeah.
grind having to
Yeah.
produce that content and keep putting it out, and I think a lot of us question what the return on that investment is too, right?
Mhm.
But we have to do it. We have to do it. Well, I mean, how would you, just to start off real simply, how would you define hustle culture? Because we've talked about, like, maybe that did have more of a positive connotation at one time, but right now, when I say, like, what is hustle culture, what does that mean to you?
Yeah. It's hard to say. I mean, because I feel like maybe my perceived definition of hustle culture is grounded in that era of like 10 years ago.
Mhm.
But generally speaking, it's about this constant output almost as part of your identity. It makes me think about people like Gary Vee. I don't know if you ever listened to his podcast.
Mm-mm.
I'm not a fan, and in part because what I felt I was hearing from Gary Vee was a lot of this, go, go, go. And if you're not always on, then you're failing.
Yeah, assigning self-worth to, like, this busyness and this hustle.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Busyness, busyness mistaken for your worth.
Mhm.
And where that where that leads my thought process is I think about I mean on like we were kind of just talking about this. My studio's closed this week and I'm getting a lot done. Things that I've wanted to really do that I feel are going to move the needle.
Mhm.
That's a phrase that I ask myself a lot. Like, is the work I'm doing moving the needle, or is it just work that I have to do that has to get done? Because there are plenty of tasks that I have to do that just need to get done. And there are even more tasks that I could assign myself that are more or less like busy work, none of which necessarily move the needle and make things better for my business or my life or whatever, but it's just like they have to get done, you know?
Mhm.
Like once a week, I've got to mow the lawn at my house.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yep.
It takes a significant amount of time. It's, it's not really doing anything for me. It's just like it's maintenance. I have to do it.
Mhm. Yep.
So,
Just like in
um,
business. Yeah.
yeah, I kind of
Yeah.
deviated, but there's this self-inflicted trap where like, is busyness actually going to lead to anything positive, or is it just keeping you busy for the front of looking busy, looking like you're
Right.
hustling?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, like, the hustle culture is the belief that the more you work, the more you succeed, right? And there's kind of these external pressures that I think of when I think of this hustle culture, is that you need to grow and scale and all these buzzwords, right? You've got to be generating passive income, diversify your income sources, all that kind of stuff. And so success to me in this idea, this culture seems very exhausting.
Mhm,
And what we want to do is work harder, or we want to work smarter, right? Not
mhm,
harder.
yeah,
And this, getting swept away in this kind of hustle culture seems to me can lead to burnout, right? Which is something we've talked about in the past that we're
yeah.
trying to avoid. So I've been thinking about where does ambition and contentment meet? Like, is there a space? Is there a sweet spot where your hustle gets you to a place where, I don't want to say that you've arrived, but that you can feel successful and content?
Good
Mm.
question. I'm gonna do a little self-analysis here on that, and where one area that I feel like I have failed and I probably could do a lot better, and maybe this if I did this, I'd be able to measure it a little bit better. I'm not the best at writing down my goals, like
Mhm.
long-term goals. I'll write down short-term goals and come up with plans, but long-term goals, I don't have a goal for 3 years from now, 5
Okay.
years from now, 10 years from now.
Mhm.
If I were better about doing that and had I been better about doing that in, say, the last 10 years or 15 years since I started like being my own boss, then maybe I'd be able to measure backwards. Did I hit this goal and feel content with hitting that goal?
Mm.
All the while knowing that I can make new goals. I can create new goals and I can have different points to measure whether or not I feel like I'm successful.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the ability to measure backwards might be a benefit there.
Yes. No, I like having like measurable outcomes. That's really good to remind us of.
Because otherwise, aren't we just comparing to random stuff that we feel inferior to?
Yes. Yes.
Right?
And this, yeah, exactly. Exactly. And like, I don't know if I've said this yet, but like hard work is important. We work really hard. Okay. This isn't about like trying to take the easy way, or we work really hard, particularly in the beginning. And we're entrepreneurs. We're creative entrepreneurs. We're musicians, right?
Mm-hmm.
My brain is constantly like brainstorming, planning, like trying to come up with creative ideas. But I think like the smarter part is deciding like how and when to use those ideas, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm jumping a little bit ahead. Like, so there's a pressure to grow, right? I feel anyway, external pressures to grow. Social media, comparing to those around you, right? There's all, and people are selling you stuff all the time as business owners, coaches, other consultants, right? Like you need to do
playing
this.
on that feeling of feeling inferior to whatever you view yourself as inferior to.
Yes. Sign up and I will tell you how to achieve XYZ in this 50-minute webinar, right?
Yeah.
So we're being sold this idea too all the time, in addition to, comparing ourselves to others. But I think when you're able to decide, well, but when do I grow? Like being smarter about who you are and what's important to you. Like, how do you know when it's time to grow?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Can we talk a little bit about the word grow?
Yeah.
And growth.
Mm-hmm.
That is really ambiguous, in my opinion.
Yeah.
In our world, in the music lesson world, I think our default setting when we think about growth is student number,
Mm-hmm.
which may be a valid growth metric. It may be a valid metric to use to determine growth, but how do we determine what is correct for each individual studio, each individual instructor? What does growth look like? Quote unquote growth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's been a long time since we've compared student numbers, but I would guarantee if we did, they would mean completely different things because you have a studio where you're doing all group classes, 2 instructors at this point, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I have a studio where I do a good portion of group classes, but also a lot of private lessons, and I have 12 instructors.
Mm-hmm.
Student numbers for me and student numbers for you are completely different because they result in different profit margins and different amounts of time that our studios are open. And all of those things are factors in this more complex equation.
Absolutely. Yes.
And that's just you and me, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we commonly will compare ourselves to whatever studio we see online and wonder how many students they have. And then, do we measure up? Are we superior just because of that random student number? And it doesn't necessarily mean anything. So I think being hyperfixated on growth isn't always the full picture. So I think, sorry, I just got on a little soapbox here.
No, that's exactly where we need to go with this. That is the idea.
But student number is not, I think, the only thing to think about because that can get us back to that idea of that treadmill. that like, oh, I don't have enough students because this other studio has more than I do. And
Yeah.
why don't I have more students?
Mm.
It just might not be the right metric.
Right.
So I think defining what growth looks like might be an antidote for this idea of hustle culture, possibly. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's really personal. Like, yeah, adding more students to my studio has a lot different, like, bottom line than adding more students to your studio,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense. But if you want to grow your programming, can we, right? So I want to grow my
Sure.
programming.
Yeah.
Why, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, asking yourself questions about this. Why? Is it because your current programming isn't filling? Or do you have students? Have you been in business and you have students aging out of a current level and you need to and you see an opportunity to provide like programming for this specific age level, right?
Yeah. So you're saying if you've identified a gap in what
Yeah.
you offer
Mhm.
and you feel that that is a worthy gap to fill, then maybe adding programs is the way to go.
Makes sense for you, right? Because I mean, in my opinion, and like I can see that adding value to my studio, right? That's going to add value. That's going to add quality to what I'm offering. I'm going to be able to reach more kids. The students are already there, right? If I'm worried about my numbers and I want to add more programming because my current programming is not filling, you need to have some different conversations and brainstorming about that, right? This isn't like throwing noodles at the wall to see what sticks, right? Which is what I
Yeah.
sometimes feel about the growth that I see. Is like, where are you and who are you? I see you just
Yeah.
like adding things, but instead of honing in and like doing what you do like really, really well.
Okay.
Does
Can
that
we
make
do?
sense?
I think so. I want to put an example out there.
Yeah.
Let's say you and I are talking and you're telling me, "Oh, I feel like I need to expand my programs, maybe get more students, more offerings." And I say to you, now this would never happen, but I say to you, Mandy, the market segment that you're really missing out on is adults. Why don't you offer a, a music time adults only program that's for adults to come in the evenings, say, 7:30 to 8:15, and all the adults can sing karaoke and you'll teach them the finer points of karaoke,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Maybe a little
It
group
would be
keyboard.
great. People would
Yeah.
buy that, and then
Yes.
like your response would be what?
In this scenario or in real life? In real life.
Just let me have it. I know you're going to be
No.
like, right.
No, that is not what we do. That's not. No. Am I like how am I gonna feel about that? Is that gonna, like, raise the quality of my studio? Is that, like, programming that I am personally excited about? No. No,
Right.
that's not what we need to be doing.
And it's not serving your mission.
Exactly.
It's not
Yes.
serving like your purpose and what you're about.
Mhm.
Yes, maybe it would generate more income. Yes, maybe it would get more students in the door. But are you happy about it?
Are you happy about it? And then, like, after answering those questions, like, so is there, like, potential for longevity in this program really? If it doesn't fit the mission? Like, it's probably
Right.
gonna fizzle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then even just getting into, like, the logistics of starting programs like this. If I'm doing these adult classes on Tuesday nights, then my real audience is not like, I can't be teaching them on Tuesday nights, right?
Right. Yeah.
If that program continues to grow or whatever, like, thinking about your spaces in that way too. Like, if you
Yeah.
come across a really great flute instructor, that wants to start teaching flute out of your studio, your rock
Jazz?
school.
Are we talking jazz flute? Are we
jazz flute? Like, what does that mean? Okay, she's super accomplished and she can already come in with 4 students and whatever. Okay, so she looks sparkly and exciting.
Right.
But she's going to take away a room. She's going to be using a room. And what does that mean for everybody else, your other primary business? So that's very specific and nitty-gritty. But I think like those are the things you have to think about when you can kind of fall trap to this hustle culture of what else can I do? What can I add? And
right.
Yeah.
And let's talk about, we'll go back to the wild scenario I placed in your lap. Well, let's say you did that. What are you not doing Tuesday nights because you're now teaching adult karaoke at your studio, right? You're not spending time with your family.
Yeah.
You can't put a dollar amount on that, but you have to somehow figure out how important is that to my existence, right? Like we have this weird thing as small business owners where we feel tremendous pressure because we don't just go to work and do the job and come home. We don't answer to a boss who tells us these are the things that you need to do to be successful at your job. There's freedom in that, but there's also traps associated with that because we don't have anyone telling us to be successful at our jobs. So our imaginations can run wild and feel like anything and everything is what we should be doing.
Yes. Yep. And we've talked about that, like specifically in when you first start a business and like in our burnout episode too.
Yeah.
That pressure to always be available, be everything to everyone all the time. Yeah. I think.
Yeah. Battling burnout. That was episode 11.
That was a long time ago. It doesn't feel that long ago.
A long time ago. So go back and listen to Battling Burnout.
Yes,
episode
I think
11.
these ideas are tied together. Yeah. Battling burnout, finding the balance. And yes, to your point, success looks different to everybody, it can look like revenue, the product quality, right? The communities that we create. Balance. That's a big one. Balance. And fulfillment in just enjoying what you do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told you this, but tomorrow I'm going on a school band field trip with my son. Be gone all day. Like we're leaving early, 7 a.m. We're not getting home until 11. So I'm chaperoning with some of the other parents. And that's a win for me, I think.
Yeah.
That freedom that we have as business owners, like it's taken me a long time to remember that I need to take advantage of some of these freedoms that I have because of who I answer to.
Yeah.
And because I run my own business, I don't want to feel guilty tomorrow because I'm not working on this list of 10 tasks that I know I need to do.
Yes. Yeah. And I think I've thought while preparing this too, like how our ideas of success have changed over the course of, since opening our businesses. You said it's taken you some time to to remember that this is what you should be prioritizing, right?
Sure.
Yeah. I remember feeling that way in the beginning, is that hustle, that really hardcore hustle of like, I can't be there for everything because I have to be putting all my time and attention into the studio and what I'm building. And then you kind of realize, well, wait a second, I need to be working smarter, and I am in charge, and I can create my schedule so that I can be here for these things. And Yeah, it's a big part of
The
what we're talking about.
Yeah, the more that we talk about this, man, the more I regret not writing down what I feel like success
Mm,
would look like for me in a year
yeah.
or in 2 years or in 5 years, because I've gotta imagine if I got in that time machine and went back 12 years before I started this studio and did that, like, what would success look like? I mean, I feel like maybe I would like, my past self would look at my future self and say, like, "Wow, you did it." Maybe?
Yeah.
And I remember even years and years ago, before I even started a studio and just had that inkling of an idea, and I've got this very fuzzy memory of trying to explain my vision to a friend of mine, and they weren't quite getting it, but I feel like in my mind, I had a really clear vision. Now, this is what it's gonna be, right? It's gonna be interactive, it's gonna be groups, and they're gonna be performing, and so I try and remember that version of me,
Mm,
and I feel like, yeah, kinda did that, you hit
mm.
your goals. So, maybe my mid-year resolution, is that a thing?
It can
Is to
be.
start writing down these goals so
Yeah.
I am better able to measure backwards.
Mhm. Yep, I like that. I feel like I'm in a a building phase right now too.
Me too.
Um, yeah, and I am summer's a little lighter right now, but particularly the last 2 semesters, winter and spring, I worked more. There was more of a grind, but we're hiring, and I do have this plan for, like, winter of next year.
Yeah.
It's not it's not a 3 or 5-year plan, but I do have an idea of where I'm going and what it's going to allow me to do personally, but also for the business when I have more staff on hand and how much farther we can go with a better team. So, yeah, that's good advice.
So what's the antidote? What do you think? I mean, if we're in agreement, which I'm sure we are,
Mhm,
that hustle culture is it's a fad that has run its course, then what is the antidote to not get caught up in it?
mhm.
I mean,
I
clearly it's complicated, maybe not one piece to it.
Right, and again, I really do think everybody's different. Like, I think you need to define what success is for you. And maybe that's like your suggestion of writing down these longer term goals. Always a good idea. But be specific. Like, I mean, we can measure success like objectively, right? I
Mhm.
mean, there to a certain extent. And for me to be successful, I do need a certain level of income, but I need I need flexibility and balance so that I can do certain things with my family and spend time with my family and be here for them. And it also means like the quality of programming and community that I offer and deliver. Be specific. What does it mean for you? Define that success. And then figure out what where to hustle and figure
Yeah.
out where you don't need to be hustling as much, right?
Okay. I'm frantically writing down my closing points here. So, my closing points to help mentally resist the idea of the messaging that we're getting from hustle culture. Like, you gotta be hustling, you gotta be busy. As you said, write down what success looks like for you and define what that looks like, because then you can measure backwards. Don't underestimate personal contentment, knowing what enough looks like for you personally.
Mhm,
And last, what do you personally want to do? What do you want to work on? What do you not want to work on?
mhm.
I think that's the big picture, because otherwise, again, we're dealt this ambiguous, nebulous concept of if you're not busy, you're failing. Or if you're not defining those things, you're comparing yourself to whatever random person, and guaranteed you're going to compare yourself to someone who's doing more than you in any one area.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And that's an interesting thing too, right? Like you can't compare yourself to someone. You don't know what they're doing to get to where they are, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Yes. That's in general when you are exposed to social media. Think about those things. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Exactly. All right. Any other closing thoughts, or we're going to bring this home?
No, I think this was great. It's good to every once in a while, some of these episodes that we do, just kind of introspective and, take a minute to jot down some of your ideas. We're recording this in the summertime. I think it's a good time to be doing this kind of stuff, as I kind of think of the fall as the beginning of a new year for my center anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also going to give a little pep talk, because I think if anyone who's listening to this, they're probably concerned with these types of things.
Mm-hmm.
They're seeking out knowledge. They're seeking out ways that they can grow personally. My pep talk is for the listeners. That means you're already doing really well. So give yourself a pat on the back for that, and give yourself a little bit of grace.
For sure. Yes.
All right.
Thanks, John. Mm-hmm.
All right. With that, we're going to wrap it up, and we'll see you next time.
Sounds good. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
If you have topic suggestions or questions, please contact us at info@rockschoolproprietor.com. We'd love to hear from you and hear suggestions for future shows. We've put together some free resources for teachers and studio owners over at rockschoolproprietor.com, and a private Facebook group called The Modern Music School. Please join us over there. On social, I'm at rock.school.proprietor on Instagram, and John Kazicki on both LinkedIn and Blue Sky. Your ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify are always appreciated. And if you enjoyed the show and gain insight from our conversation, then we count that as a win. All we ask in return is that you pay it forward, and please share the show with someone you think needs to hear it.